Hi everyone. Today I'm finally sitting down to listen to a full Laufey album from top to bottom, and we're doing it with A Matter of Time. I've been a fan of Laufey's for a while now, starting with her first album, um, Everything I Know About Love, I think it's called. So I've heard a bunch of her tracks, and off of this album specifically, A Matter of Time, I do already know Snow White, Silver Lining, and Tough Luck. All three of them great songs. And so I'm really interested to see how they fit into the full story. If you enjoy videos like this, please subscribe. I do album reactions every single Monday, and then I do performances and music videos on Wednesday and Friday. And this is a very new channel, so I'm open to just growing with it wherever it goes. But without further ado, let's get into A Matter of Time. I do want to add that this week I was supposed to react to Sabrina Carpenter's A Nonsense Christmas Netflix special, but I'm finding it impossible to figure out how to actually screen record on Netflix, and the copyright from that is insane. And since I am a new channel, I don't have a Patreon that I could upload it to and then put the copyrighted blocked version on YouTube. So at this point in time, I've decided I'm just not going to do that one. If that is something that you're interested in, comment down below. I'll find a way if that's actually something that people want. Maybe when I can figure that out at a different time, whether it be Christmas season or not, I'll do it then. All right, so the first track on this album is called Clockwork. Apt start to a song called Clockwork.
Swore I'd never do this again. Think that I'm so clever I could date a friend. He just called me, said he's running late. Like me, he probably had to regurgitate. I know it's irrational, at least I'm so.
Forgot how much I love Laufey.
I'm shivering.
She sounds like one of the jazz
I'll
greats.
stay home, oh shit, he's here. My head's a wild place. I've considered.
I love the bass in the back. We don't hear enough basses.
Words I'll forget, deeply regret, he'll run away. And
I love her vibrato too. It's so heavy. I love it.
meeting with my destiny, but like clockwork, think he fell in love with me.
So far, I really like it. I don't think we have anybody doing jazz the way Laufey does, and I love that she's sort of brought it into the pop mainstream. And you can definitely hear that influence hasn't gone away. I have felt that that's something that I think I was wrong about. As the albums have gone on, the songs that I've heard, I've almost felt like she's gone a little bit more pop forward, but immediately with this first song, it is incredibly jazz heavy. This is absolutely something you would call a jazz song. I feel like I could hear this in a jazz club, you know what I mean? And so I love that that's something that Laufey is doing. That is her impact on the industry, where she's kind of bringing jazz to the forefront in a really cool way. I know she has a lot of young fans, so introducing them to that genre, I think that's a fantastic thing to do.
I want him forever. Oh my God, I've said too much. My head's a wild place.
It sounds so live, you know what I mean?
Way. Words I'll forget, deeply regret. I'll run away, and nothing brings me fear like meeting with my destiny. But good God, I think he fell in love. Tick-tock, and I fell in love too. Like clockwork, I fell in love with you.
Beautiful. That was so good. All right, so that was the first track. That was Clockwork. Honestly, it didn't feel as much like an intro, but more just as a standalone track in itself. It might be setting the record in terms of what the rest of this is going to sound like, or maybe even common literary themes that she gets into. But I mentioned this before, but what I love was that it really reinforced that she's bringing jazz to the forefront of the mainstream by blending it with pop really seamlessly, and then also putting it her own modern youthful twist on it that makes it a lot more accessible, especially since jazz at least to me, feels somewhat inaccessible at times. It feels like if you're not able to critique music in this way, if you don't know a lot about music theory, etc., it's something that's kind of off limits. It's too highbrow, and that very much is like a social like stereotype, if anything, and that's definitely something with me. But I feel like Laufey's done a good job of making it more attainable, more accessible, by making it more modern in her references and the way she goes about blending it with pop. So I think that's fantastic, and I think it's part of why she's done as well as she has. She's been huge, especially these last couple of years. She's been doing really, really well. She's been a Grammy darling, which is fantastic for her. But yeah, I just love that that's what she's doing. It seems like that's what she's doing from this first track and based on the tracks that I've already heard. So I'm hoping that continues. But in the meantime, I love the little motifs that she had with like the ding-dong backing vocals and the sound of a clock in the back. I thought that was really fantastic. And the rest of this was very much Laufey. It was very much like forbidden love, yearning. Like, it's very young, it feels very young to me. But other than that, like, loved the instrumentation that she had going on there, very live sounding. Altogether, a great start to the album. So great, awesome. Let's move on to track 2, which is Lover Girl. This is a song I've heard. It's a song that's done incredibly well. It's a song that I really enjoy. But yeah, let's get into it. I love the claps. I love the claps. Great addition.
The countdown begins in Tokyo. 27 days alone means 20 million words.
I also love how like her melody's a little bit more complex, because again, leaning into jazz, that's something that comes naturally. And if you look at like the rest of what's on the radio, it's very like simple, repetitive choruses, because that's what gets stuck in your head, This is more like complex.
In my mind, I'm working overtime to have you in my world. Oh, what a curse it is to be a lover girl.
That's gonna sound terrible because I know there's like audio lag when you're screen sharing, so I'm sure my claps are completely off.
The independent lady in me's nowhere to be found. I can't wait another day to see you. How embarrassing to be this way. If I wait by the phone like a high school movie, dream at the shows you'll come running to me. Think I see you in
This part's like haunting. It's kind of cool. There we go. I love how like the tension gets up to the climax. It's so cool. Alright, that was Lover Girl. It is a song that I've already heard. It's very clear that she's in love. I know she has been, I think, for a while. So we're not hearing those like "You've Wronged Me" songs, but instead it's like a lot of love songs, which I don't mind at all. She does them super well. But I think that that's something we're going to see for the rest of this album, which is great, more of like a loving album. I am interested in finding out what she means by "a matter of time." If that's a lyric that's going to pop up more or be more explained. So I hope that shows up. But yeah, great song. I will say, I think it's just me, but I absolutely associate this sound with the holidays. Like, this to me feels and sounds like a winter album, which is strange to say because I feel like my winter albums are always a little bit more depressing, kind of like the weather is, you know what I mean? But I feel like this is almost like a joyful winter album to me. That's the way it sounds and feels and stuff. So I think that's cool, and I'm glad because, again, as I mentioned, I was supposed to react to the Sabrina Carpenter like Christmas special, and I don't feel bad that I'm doing this instead because honestly, this feels very Christmassy or very holiday-y to me. So I think it's definitely the right season for this album. Nothing more to say. Let's keep going. The next track is track 3. It's called Snow White. I'm pretty sure it's a song I've heard, but I don't remember how it goes. Like, I'm trying to recall it right now, and I cannot recall it. So I don't know. I'm going to treat it like a first listen because it feels like one. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh yeah, this is more depressing lyrically than I remember.
All of the much I failed myself, I failed the world all the same. I don't think I'm pretty, it's not up for debate. A woman's best currency's her body, not her brain. They try to tell me I'm wrong, but mirrors tell lies to me, my mind just plays along.
She's very good at like the devastating songs about youth, you know.
World is a sick place, at least for a girl. The people want beauty, skinny always wins, and I don't have enough of it. I'll never have enough of it.
Like I said, she always does these sort of like very dramatic songs about growing up and insecurity and stuff like that really well. I think she has another song similar to this called Letter to My 13-Year-Old Self, except that one's a little bit more positive. I think this is more of like a devastating, like, you know, song about insecurity. I do hope that this... I know that not every single sad song about insecurities has to have a positive spin on it, but part of me does hope that she brings this to a resolution in the sense of like, despite the fact that that was her youth, she has found her confidence in her brain, not like in a more mature way. Does that make sense? Like she's talking about how like, you know, they only value women for you know, her appearance, not her brains. I'm hoping that in this song itself, she comes to the resolution of not needing the approval of others, not needing to be concerned with what society wants in that way. And I hope she's able to do that so that, you know, other fans who are hearing this are able to come to those same realizations themselves. She doesn't have to do fan service. I totally understand that. And if her honest experience has just been the negativity and she wants to focus on that, she absolutely can. But I do hope that it puts that spin on it, because I would feel better as a listener. But we'll see.
Sometimes I see her, she looks like Snow White.
Oh, here we go.
She's everything I am, but my wrongs are turned to right.
I can feel this.
Her body is smaller, skin is so fair. She's achieved everything I've dreamed of, and it's all that I can think of. They try to tell me I'm wrong. The people want beauty, skinny always wins, and I don't have enough.
Yeah, it looks like we're not going to get that resolution, but I don't mind it. Not every song has to sort of end on a happy note when it's sad. I think sometimes it's important to like be real about it, and it's possible that this is real, that she still hasn't gotten over that, you know. But yeah, what a beautiful song, you know. It's very blunt honesty, which is good to hear. It feels like a diary entry almost, but turned into a song, and I think that is a skill that I'm so jealous of. I would love nothing more to be able to articulate myself in the way that she's able to, of like taking things that you've gone through, taking dark feelings that you've had about yourself, and then turning them into music that others can listen to also sort of relate to you and come to their own sort of healing from it, right? Because I think acceptance and acknowledgement of this feeling of insecurity is the sort of first step to growing out of it and away from it. So I really, really appreciate this song, and I really appreciate that she's able to write about this sort of introspective vulnerability. Super special. And it's something that I think, obviously the song itself is geared more towards like the female perspective and like what growing up as a woman is like. But even then, I feel like I can definitely relate to it as a person of color. especially constantly being compared to your white peers and being the only person of color in the room, and how that feels growing up, how isolating it can be, and to be very real, how many people of color often when they're young just wish that they could be white, they could be normal, etc. So I think that she's able to sort of touch on that experience as well, at least for me. I think that's what it evokes for me. So I think it's a really special song in that regard. But yeah, nothing more to say. Great song. Let's move on to the next track, which is track 4. It's called Castle in Hollywood.
I rack my brain, spend hours and days, I still can't figure
Interesting melody.
what happened that year in our house. Still learning to live without you. I wonder what you tell your friends, which version of our fairy story. The one where you walk out in glory, or the night I moved out in a
The end of a relationship.
I think about you always, tied together with a string. I thought the lilies died by winter, then they bloomed again.
Something about this melody is very Taylor Swift. No? Let me know if you agree. I don't want to be alone on that. Yeah, it feels very Taylor Swift. Oh, that stop was abrupt. I need to shut up, I think, is what I'm getting. We?
I wish I could tell you how I finally fell in love. There's not
Dating the boy that we dreamed of.
Oh.
Is this about a friend?
We were meant to be forever and ever. I think about you always, tied together with a string. I thought the
Honestly, if this is about a friend or a family member, songs about it is about a friend or a family.
Mark the end of our girlhood. We'll never go back to our castle in Hollywood.
Oh. Songs about friendship always make me more sad than songs about relationships. Like romantic relationships. Oh. Beautiful vibrato there at the end. Wow. Amazing. That was Castle in Hollywood. Yeah, it was a bittersweet song about like the end of a friendship. And how bitter, not even bittersweet, honestly, it was more just bitter, and how bitter that can feel, being betrayed by someone who's supposed to be your friend. I imagine that's even more, it's further, like, made extreme by it being a relationship between two girls, because I think what people seem to say about girlhood is that those relationships tend to run deeper. Not being a girl, I can't really comment more on that, but... yeah, I don't know. I think that it was a beautiful song about friendships, and as someone who's going through a couple friend breakups right now, or like weird friend situations, it definitely hits close to home. It was very Taylor Swift sounding to me, at least, I think. I don't know, something about her melody. I think part of it is because Taylor Swift is like the biggest songwriter we have out right now, and the most talented for sure. And one of the things that she does is that when it comes to her melodies, she prioritizes getting the lyrics out as like almost like a run-on sentence, like stream of consciousness, and that manipulates the melody in a specific way where it kind of follows the same flows and then changes each time it comes through. I know that makes absolutely no sense, but that makes sense to me. But that's how I hear Taylor Swift's melodies, where it prioritizes the lyrics over the actual sound, not in a bad way or not in a good way, just a neutral way. And I hear that here, where the way it kind of flows is that it's doing that sort of stream of consciousness things. She's focusing on getting the words out rather than, making it sound appealing or interesting, which I appreciate because it shows that she really cares about her lyricism here. And you can hear that in her music in general. So yeah, that's I think that's fantastic. The only criticism I had was I felt like towards the end there was more that she could have done. It ended on like a very like neutral note. Does that make sense? I felt like in terms of maybe it's the dynamics, or maybe it's the instrumentation she used, but I felt like the song didn't really build to anything it almost felt like it got halfway through and then it kind of stopped there, whereas the songs usually go like this. And in some songs, I prefer that. I prefer there not to be like the big explosive chorus at the end. And I'm not saying that this calls for an explosive chorus, but I would have appreciated if there was like maybe one more chorus where she had added like ad-libs on, or maybe changed the way she delivered her lyrics a little bit, something. I think it was a very short song, and it didn't necessarily need to be one. I think that's what I sort of ended the song with, a feeling like, you know, there could have been more there, and it would have improved the song if that was the case. But that's just my thinking on it. Yeah, but other than that, still a very, very good song. All right, moving on. Let's go to the next song, which is track 5. It's called Carousel. See, am I wrong? It feels very Christmassy. Oh.
Hold on for all I bring with me. You make me nervous. Take my sincere apology.
This reminds me of another song. I'll bring that up later.
For all of my oddities, my recurring comedies, I know I'm on a carousel, spinning around, floating up and down. Nowhere to go, will you break the spell? Tether me to your ground. Such a spectacle. You signed up for one hell of a one-man show.
I can relate to the song. This is good.
Tangled in ribbons of
Kind of the feeling of like your life is too much of a mess to like involve someone else in it. And sometimes you can't help but involve someone else in it just because of like who you've met. And so like feeling like you need to apologize for like how messy your life is and how that's impacting them. But also being like really appreciative that they're there, you know? Because it helps ground you. Yeah, expecting it to end, expecting them to run away because of how messy it is. This is a waltz, right? Pretty sure this is a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a waltz. Again, I know that that'll be off audio-wise, but... Alright, this was really good. I love that this almost like the instrumental sounded like one of those little toy jewelry boxes, you know, that you open up and there's like a little ballerina in the middle and it's spinning, and it, like a wind-up sort of music box. That's what it kind of sounded like to me, which I thought was really, really cool. It also did sound a little bit circusy as well, and very spacey, which I appreciated because I think it does sort of like touch on that in the sense where her life is kind of a mess. It's this sort of spinning circus, and having like feeling like insecure about that, wanting to apologize to the person you're with, of having to involve them in that, but at the same time appreciating that they're grounding you. It reminds me of one of my favorite songs. It's a song called Anchor. It's by Mindy Gledhill, and it's basically about it's the same topic as this song. And it's like eerily similar. When all the world is spinning round like a red balloon way up in the clouds, and my feet will not stay on the ground, you anchor me back down. I am nearly world-renowned as a restless soul who always skips town, but I look for you to come around and anchor me back down. There's a couple circus mentions there, and a lot of mentions of like spinning around as well, but I think that if you're someone who, if you're watching this and you enjoy this song, Carousel, I definitely recommend you also check out Anchor by Mindy Gledhill, because I have a feeling that you would also like that song as well. It's the same topic. Sonically, it sounds very, very similar as well. Honestly, the melody really reminded me of that song. Yeah, so definitely recommend you check that out. This is nice. Typically people recommend me songs on this channel, so it's nice to be able to recommend something back. But yeah, I did really, really like this song. Had like this anxious feeling about it, which I appreciate. I love when songs are able to sort of display those emotions so directly. Not only have it like discussing a specific complicated concept, but they're able to like make it sonically sound like that emotion too. And this to me did sound very like melancholy and very anxious, which, you know, directly correlates to what she's actually talking about here. So that was great. Really, really appreciated that. Let's move on to the next song. The next song is track 6. It's called Silver Lining. I have heard this song before. I love this song. Of all the songs that I've heard on this album, I think this is my favorite. It's very, very power ballady. I really like it. I know it doesn't start that way, but I think the chorus is very, very big, which I really appreciate.
I've been falling in bad habits, staring into the abyss, drowning in red wine and sniffing cinnamon.
I don't know what that means. Sniffing cinnamon.
In
In what moments do you do that?
acting like
This part's really cute. That sort of like honeymoon period.
jokes and getting away with it. So I propose as long
Ugh, I love this song. Immediate chills. Oh.
when you go to hell, I'll go there with you too.
Just that sentiment is so beautiful. Where life sucks, but wherever it takes us, I'm going with you. Because everything is easier to go through when you have someone next to you as a partner. You know? Oh, I am so single. That is what this song reminds me of. So incredibly single. We'll work on it.
Never been calm or
We're not gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. Sorry.
no one ever called me sweet.
Oh.
What a miracle I found a darling.
That too is so real. No one ever called me sweet. Of like, if you've never been in a relationship to then be in one, it feels like you're dreaming. Like it cannot be real.
Now we pirouette in fields of rosy sin. The silver lining.
Oh, I love this bridge. I love that run too, that she just did, the ascending run. Like this is such like a first dance song for like a wedding. Is this a waltz too? It's like a fast waltz.
The silver linings, I'll be there with you.
That was Silver Lining. It's honestly like it's the favorite song. It's my favorite song of the songs that I've heard on this album so far. I think the sentiment is really beautiful. I think it's like the perfect like first dance song for a wedding, ultimate partnership stuff. You know, because that is such a beautiful feeling of being like, you know, life sucks. Life is so hard. You know, we're going through hell, but hey, like, you know, the silver lining is at least I'll be there with you. You know, because it's so much easier to go through something when there's two of you than when there's one. So I really do love this song. I think it ends on like the perfect note. I think this song really, like, there are some moments where her voice kind of reminds me of Ella Fitzgerald's, and with that, I think I would love to hear a song with Laufey and Samara Joy. Because Samara Joy is like, if Laufey is jazz pop, then Samara Joy is just straight jazz, you know? And so I would love to see her do a song with Samara Joy. I think that they would make something really beautiful together. I think their voices would complement each other. And then on the opposite side of that, I would love to hear Laufey do a song with Ray. Not on this song. I think on this specific song, on Silver Lining, that feels more of a Samara Joy vibe vocally. but I would also love to see Laufey and Ray do something. And I think maybe I'll hear a song on this where I'll be like, aha, Ray, you know? But other than that, I do really love this song. I think it's so beautiful. It's like instant chills for me. It just, it makes me want to be in a relationship. It's such a good song, but that's dangerous. So, anyways, let's move on to the next song. It's track number 7, which is called Too Little, Too Late. Kind of like the JoJo song. If you haven't heard that JoJo song, you should check it out. Oh, I need to get into the right mood. This is like a sad song.
I read in the papers he's someone the girls dream about.
So celebrity, okay.
Some kind of ruler on top of a kingdom. I'm just a jester, I'll never be him. Last night you called to me. It almost killed me to hear you scream my name. Your smile still kills the same. I almost
I'm not too clear on what this is about. It sounds devastating. It also sounds like it's picking up. Forgive me, I'm a little bit stupid, but I can't tell what the vibe is here in terms of whether this person wronged her, whether she misses them, whether it's both. I can't tell if it's a romantic situation or a platonic situation. I'm having trouble, like, moving with the lyrics. And again, that might just be me being a little bit stupid, but I think I haven't caught it yet. Maybe the second verse will make it a little bit more clear for me.
I didn't need the reminder of things I'd done wrong.
Yeah, see, like,
Of promises broken, fragility.
what if you leave him? Throw me a lifeline.
So
Because she was saying, I'll never be him, and now she's saying, what if you leave him? So who is this about?
times, what if you leave him? Throw me a lifeline. I know that you're happy,
I think this is about
but it just killed
a friend? I don't know.
to hear you scream my name. A clear fucking X-ray of if I'd stuck around. I swear to God.
See, she says, I should be who you're engaged to.
You asked me
So then it is relationship.
been, but how could I begin to tell you I should have chased you? I should be who you're engaged to.
See, I'm confused now.
My fight
I'm loving the sound, though. I like that it's bigger.
of leave and stay. I'll see you at heaven's gate.
Wow.
'Cause it's too little
Oh, I was loving that build.
too late.
Oh, I'm sad that's over. I was loving that build. I love that. I love how quiet it's gotten.
I'll toast outside your wedding day.
All right, that was Too Little, Too Late. Honestly, this one confused me a little bit. I had a lot of trouble figuring out whether the situation it was talking about was platonic or romantic. Towards the end, I figured out it was romantic because she basically said that, I should be engaged to you. But then I'm having trouble trying to figure out whether she's talking about a woman or a man. Because she kept saying, I'll never be him, and talking about a different him. and then like there was a him she's talking about, and there was a you. So whoever she says she should be engaged to is with a different man. So that could be, I feel like that could be a woman, that could be a man, that could be anyone. I am under the impression that Laufey is straight. So I'm assuming it's a man who's now with another man and getting married. I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. So yeah, I had a little bit of trouble understanding. If you're someone who's a fan of Laufey, who sort of knows, the pop culture side of things, of like who she's dating and what specific songs are about, please let me know in the comments what that one was about, because I would love to know. But yeah, I had a little bit of trouble understanding that. I was also having a little bit of trouble understanding the tone, whether it was resentment, jealousy, sorrow. It was clearly emotionally fraught. You could tell by the way it sonically sort of picked up and came to that really tumultuous climax. You could tell that it's very, very deep emotions on this one. But I was having trouble like understanding whether this was a moment of, like immense, whether it was like bitterness, was it resentment, like, where is she sitting? Because she was talking about the things that she did wrong. I guess what I'm trying to say is I can't tell which direction the too little too late is directed in. Does that make sense? I can't tell if she's telling the other person that it's a little too late, you're trying to fix things, because they were asking how she's doing and she's saying like it's a little too late. Or whether she's saying that to herself, that it's too little too late, that she wishes she acted on it earlier. Because I feel like it's giving a little bit of both, but that wouldn't necessarily make sense. In general, I think that just wouldn't fit as two songs together. So I think that's something I'm having... Yeah, I did really love this song sonically, but lyrically I think I'm having a little bit of trouble with understanding exactly where it's headed. And it's possible that she also came at it from that perspective. Complex emotions will be more complex to get out. So I don't know if this is a song you fully understand. Please enlighten me in the comments. That would be very, very appreciated. But yeah, let's move on to the next song. It is an interlude. It's called it's track 8. It's called Cuckoo Ballet. I think it's just an instrumental interlude. I think Laufey should soundtrack a Christmas movie. That's what I'm getting from this album, because to me, it very much feels Christmassy for some reason to me, or very holiday-y. And I feel like if you think about Christmas movies from like the 2000s, they have a lot of like interludes in them that are very orchestral. So I feel like, and this one was very like whimsical, like playful. I feel like this would do really well in a like Christmas song. So I think she'd do a great job of soundtracking a Christmas album, like a Christmas movie. You know what I mean? It seems the mood has turned a little bit more somber, like a little sadder. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm not a big musical theory person, so I can't really speak onto like the themes in that regard. I can only speak on themes when it comes lyrically. I can make my own sort of like forced positions of this sounds sad, this sounds happy, but whether it's accurate, I don't really know. Oh, there's the ding dong in the back. Alright, that was Cuckoo Ballet. What a whimsical little interlude. And by little, I mean long as hell. That was a long interlude. That was... Considering its placement, it's as track 8, I'm imagining that this is kind of like a palate cleanser. You know what I mean? Like, in the sense of like, hey, what you heard before was Act 1, now we're going into Act 2. Kind of like an intermission, it almost feels like. If that's the case, that is very cool. Especially since it's called Cuckoo Ballet, which is like a stage performance. That's my theory on this. I think this song is serving as an intermission. Like, we're going full orchestral. Go get your tea, refill your water, get your snacks, and then come sit down, and we're gonna get into Act 2 of this piece. That's what that sort of feels like to me. I hope I'm right about that. But yeah, that was it was very cool. It was very like whimsical at times, and then kind of like sadder at other times. But that I thought that was really cool, and it's not something you hear super often, like a full instrumental. What? No, a full instrumental interlude. That's not something you hear super often. So cool. Let's keep moving. The next song is track 9. It's called "Forget Me Not." Kind of like the flower, I assume. And for those of you who don't know, forget me not is the flower that people would like in movies would like pick petals off of like he loves me not, I think. Or no. Am I remembering that correctly? Maybe this is something else. This might be something else entirely. My bad. I'm like peeking ahead on the lyrics, but it looks like Icelandic.
It's alright. Here I begin missing him. It's my play. Love you forever. Don't let go of me.
She has a beautiful falsetto. Or head voice, whatever you would call this. I'm pretty sure that's Icelandic. I'm imagining this is a love song to Iceland and about missing Iceland, having to leave her homeland to chase her dreams, you know?
I miss the wind, stone cold kiss on my cheeks. I'm still that child.
Black Sand Beach. I gotta go to Iceland, man. Black Sand Beach sounds nice. Wow. This song is so cinematic. All right, that was a beautiful, song about home. And about missing home and hoping that your home doesn't forget you because you'll never forget your home, you know? I think that was really beautiful. I think what's really impressive about this song and some of the other songs on this album is that they're incredibly cinematic and atmospheric. And it makes me want Laufey to get more into making music for movies. I think that's something that she would destroy. I think she would be so good at it because I can see, again, the emotion that she's able to evoke simply in her orchestral arrangements and with her voice as well. So beautifully emotionally complex, very melancholy. And so I think that she would do really well in that sort of situation. I think a song like this could be very easily be used for some of the sadder, tender, more vulnerable moments of a movie. But I keep saying movie because, again, incredibly cinematic sound, which I really love. Very, very expensive sound as well, orchestrally. So this is a very beautiful song. It's not something that I would listen to super often, but I think that's only because it's just not a sound that I'm accustomed to. I definitely appreciate for what it is. Yeah, let's move on to track 10. Track 10 is Tough Luck. It is a song I've heard. It's not for me. It's not something I'm like, I didn't love this song when it came out. And I have only heard it a couple times, so maybe I'll hear it this time and something, a switch will have been flipped, but it's certainly not my favorite song. But yeah, let's get into it. This is Tough Luck.
Are you tired? I can tell that you're tired. Your eyes turn gray, you beg me to be silent. You said I can't read your mind, but I'm reading it just fine. You think you're so misunderstood. The black cat.
I do love the switch up that's coming though.
Tough luck, my boy, your time
Also, I want to know who this is about, you know? Like, who's the actress before her? Who is that? Beautiful.
Does your mother even know?
I need to hear her do more backing vocals. She doesn't use them enough on this album. I loved it here. I need more.
When you're screaming at the TV, cussing out opposing football teams. Oops, she doesn't even know.
I do wonder how that situation comes around, because how would Laufey know about it?
I should congratulate thee for so nearly convincing me I'm not quite as smart as I seem, that I'm allowed, not nobody. My accent and music are dumb, your tattoos are no better. On the proof says you're tragic as fuck. The truth is that's just tough love.
Beautiful note. That's the strongest belt we've heard from Laufey. And very pop. This is a very pop song.
Tough luck, my boy, your time is up. I'll break it first. I've had enough of waiting till you lie and cheat, just like you did to the actress before me. Ooh, she doesn't even know. You won't be missed. I'm glad to see you go.
That was Tough Luck. Yeah, I think I'm probably the only one in this, but I don't love this song. It feels a little bit clumsy to me, and it sticks out in a sore way on this album. To me, it feels like the black sheep of the album because it is just pop. I think every single song in this has really felt super jazz inspired and very cinematic in that way, very beautiful, very expensively made. And I feel like Tough Luck it doesn't feel the same to me. It's not necessarily cinematic. I can't really say the same thing about it in terms of having expensive production. It feels a little bit more basic, a little bit more rudimentary pop. I don't really hear the jazz influences as much. She does equip more pop devices, I think, some of which are good. I do love that she brought more backing vocals into it. That is more pop than it is jazz, and I did actually like that. She also has the high note and the full on belt, but it just felt so it felt like it didn't belong. The first time I ever heard this song, I was very much caught off guard by that note and then the belt, because it didn't feel like it matched the rest of the song. So I think to me this song is very I think it very much sticks out on this album. It doesn't necessarily belong here, at least to me, sonically. I don't feel like it belongs amongst the fantastic songs that we've heard before this, sonically. Yeah, I think it's just not for me. But I know that a lot of people really, really like this song. So if you like this song, no hate to ya, no shade to ya. This one's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, and I'll always be honest. I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I care so much about what people think of me that I would pretend to like something that I didn't like. I think I'll always be honest about that. And honestly, when it comes to me enjoying reactions like this, because I love watching album reactions, I do always appreciate it more when someone is more honest about what they like and don't like, even if it's something that I personally feel the opposite about. So yeah, I will always be honest about it, and being honest about it, it's just not my song. But yeah, let's move on. The next track is track 11, and it's called A Cautionary Tale. So far, I'm liking the production of this. It's cool.
Hear my story, a cautionary tale of how I came to be loved and how it came to feel. A first time for lovers, a first time in agony.
This is giving me intro vibes.
The truth you
I would expect this to be at the beginning of the album.
will knock you on your knee. Took your draining personality and gave it to me. I wanted to please you. This performance of a lifetime. My heart to you handed. You took it for granted and made me the villain all alone.
Yeah, the song's pretty simple, I think. She was scorned, you know.
I struggled through the winter, found cheat codes to your soul. Was born to be a giver, destined to pay.
I love that line. Wow. Was born to be a giver, destined to pay the toll. Love that line.
I gave it too much.
Amazing.
I gave myself up. I lost sight of all my dignity. I've always been smart. My chameleon heart took your draining personality. No, inside you there's a guiltless child who never saw his mother smile. A boy who had no sense of home believes he's better off.
It's interesting that she's understanding his perspective. You don't see that. She does truly know this person because she's done the work to understand why they treated her poorly, which is tough to do. It's tough to understand that perspective. That was Cautionary Tale. Very narrative songwriting, which makes sense from the title. I was very surprised by the information she offered in the bridge, because I feel like in songs about being let down, you don't typically hear a lot of understanding for the perpetrator, which makes sense because I don't think the perpetrator in these situations necessarily deserves that. However, she gave a lot of understanding. It's to the point that when she says that she really learned this person, I really do believe her, because the fact that she was able to look at the stuff that he has done to her, and rather than fixate on that and being like, you did me wrong and you suck for that, there was a little bit of that, but there's also a little bit of, here's why you're doing all those things. Here's what you went through. It's really beautiful because it's acknowledgement of the fact that in a lot of cases, good and bad are not really black and white. It's when it comes to these relationships, people are complex, and so relationships are complex. And so when you're let down by a person, when you have to break off a relationship, it's not necessarily a situation of there's a good person, there's a bad person in this. And I think that she does speak on that really well here, where she acknowledges exactly what he's gone through that would make him let her down like that, or sort of lead to that outcome, where she's saying, I understand you, I do. You've gone through this, and this, these hardships that have honestly made you the wrong person for me, and it's led to a situation where you have let me down, where you have not been there for me. And that's why I can no longer stay here and fix you, because you're not working on it. Because there comes a point, you can be with someone who has gone through stuff in the past. It's not to say that you can only be with people who haven't gone through anything. You absolutely can. But when it comes to how those upbringings and experiences have impacted them and possibly made them treat their partners for worse, they have to want to work on that for it to be worth it to stick by them. If someone's doing that and they're not working on themselves actively, then yeah, you leave them. That's the only thing. And I like the imagery of her, breaking the hourglass just in time. I thought that was a bar. That was fantastic. And I do think it feels that way of just being like, you know what, I'm glad I did this before we went too far. So yeah, lyrically, I think I was really impressed with the song, especially with the bridge. I think the bridge made and saved this song. I think the bridge was fantastic. It was a beautiful bit of perspective, and I do think it very beautifully comments on the fact that very often relationships, there's not like a villain and a victim. Sometimes it's just two very complex people. And you did your best to help someone out and help them grow, and they didn't want to grow, and so you grow out of it and you grow away from them. Which I think that was really beautifully done. All right, let's move to the next track, which is track 12. It's called Mr. Eclectic.
Bet you think you're so poetic, quoting epics and ancient prose.
I love that she's not for like the performative male antics. I think that's what I mean when I talk about like her youthful touch on this.
Did you ever stop and give a wonder to just who you were talking to?
I love this.
Expert on the foolish things that men have said to and win me over. What a poser, you think you're so interesting.
Oh, I like this one. I'm enjoying it. Very nice.
Oh, grandiose thinker of mine.
Great run.
About some dead composer. You're just a stoner patronizing me. Did you ever stop and give a wonder to?
Oh, I love the instrumental in this one.
To the very expert on the foolish things that men have said to and win me over. What a poser, you think you're so interesting.
I would not have expected this song to end here. Oh, I'm loving this. Am I wrong to think this is very like bossa nova? There's like the vocal percussion. I can hear like the S's. They're very sharp. She's like saying something in the back. It is probably just like scatting for as percussion, but that was cool. You know, of the songs that I had not heard, that is my favorite. Absolutely. I loved it. I loved that. I love how playful it was. I'm always in for her to read Amanda Filth. Always in for that. Especially when it's like the performative male stuff. But this is exactly what I was talking about. This is like the best of her music, of like where it's able to blend jazz with pop really well. It does feel so rooted and inspired by music of the past, music of the past, but at the same time, it's rooted in very modern experiences, which is something that she does incredibly well, especially since she's such a talented songwriter. She's able to bring those experiences into this and put her own little Laufey touch on the music. So I think that's really beautiful. I loved the instrumentation on this. Yeah, wow. I think this might be my favorite song so far. Or like, when I say favorite, I feel like it's the one that I know I'm going to immediately enjoy. There have been songs on here that some could definitely consider stronger, but they're songs that I wouldn't listen to as often just because they're not my cup of tea. This is my favorite in that regard, you know? But yeah, really enjoyed that song. Let's move on to track 13, which is Clean Air.
Saging my bedroom.
Is there an effect on her voice in this one?
Dusting every surface, every corner. Pleading and praying it gets warmer in this hollow winter tide. 3 hours of sunlight.
Ooh.
Don't really matter when you're deprived of happiness and weekend advice to find some oxygen. Sweeter pastures wait
this one.
My soul has suffered. Get the fuck out of my
See, when she swears, it always is a little jarring because it doesn't feel like it fits.
I'm breathing clean, clean air. Doctor said there's nothing left to see now. Nothing weird or scary, although somehow your heart turned back to gold.
That lyric confuses me.
Ricochet like bullets.
This is saying she's sensitive.
Cyclone
Okay.
on a sunny day, you shook it and dragged me down to
Yeah, this one's confusing because again, her sense of good and bad or victim and villain are so black, like non-black and white, so complex, which is really well done. Because she, on one hand, is saying like, get the hell out of my atmosphere, you're polluting my space, without you I'm breathing clean air. But also she's saying that your heart turned back to gold, you know?
breathing clean, clean air.
I really like this one. This one sounds like a Sabrina song to me. That was Clean Air. Yeah, I really liked this one. I loved it sonically. Part of me was confused about what the lyrics were trying to say, but on the other hand, I did feel like maybe it's possible that her writing is just very complex. She's doing a good job of like writing about complex perspectives. In this song, it did again confuse me because there was a point where I was like, it sounds like this person has wronged her and been really bad for her. But then there were moments where she was like talking about how they're also better off. So then I can't tell I don't know if that was purposeful or not. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like this song had any vitriol for the other person. It just felt like she's just really happy and lighter and brighter now that they're gone. And it's possible that they are too. Interesting. Very interesting conceptually. And I love the sound. It sonically, honestly, I felt like this sounded a lot like Sabrina Carpenter. It did sort of deviate away from the jazz sound we've been hearing a lot and went more in that direction. And I didn't mind it. I actually really liked this one. I think second to Mr. Eclectic. I think these past two songs have been really strong. But yeah, let's move on to the last track. Aw. Sorry, that was weird. Let's move on to the last track of this album. It's track 14. It's called Sabotage. Is it self-sabotage? Is that what this is about?
I get in my head so easily. I don't understand. I'm my worst enemy. You assure me you love me and seal it with a kiss. I can't be convinced. It's just a matter of
There we go.
time till you see the dagger. It's a special of mine to cause disaster. So prepare for the impact and brace your heart for cold.
So she's saying she's gonna let him down.
Bitter sabotage.
Or- Oh my god.
I swear that one
What the hell was that for?
I'll marry.
That was rude. I was not expecting that.
Just like I
Phew.
always do. You assure me
That really stopped me in my tracks. I had other stuff to say.
a message.
That might be for the better though.
Why won't they go through?
Oh yeah, I was wondering if this is self-sabotage, or if she's sabotaging the relationship, or she's truly betraying him. Because dagger is different. She's saying she's gonna break his heart, basically, I guess.
To cause disaster, so prepare for the impact
Yeah, the Prepare for Impact, that was to the listeners too, I think.
Your heart for cold bloody bitter sabotage.
Interesting. Whoa! Is that electric guitar in there? Or is that still orchestra? It's very chaotic. What a strange closure. Or closer. Wow, okay. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. So that was the track, the closing track, Sabotage. It did have a little bit of finale energy, which was interesting. I do love a song that's able to do like dichotomy really well and like sort of like slower verses and then sort of surprising you at the end there. I think it was. I'm assuming that was like symbolic of like her sabotaging her relationship as well, of like things going really, really well, but then her just ruining it, for nothing. I think that's what that sonically was there to represent, which I think was like a really, really cool sonic device to employ. It's not something you see super often, and I think that's because it definitely is a risk. And I think that risk paid off here. But yeah, that ending there was very like haunting. It was very interesting. I don't know that I have much more to say on that song. I do think it's not super complex, but I think it employs really, really interesting sonic devices. I think that was very, very cool. But yeah, okay, let's talk about the album. So that was A Matter of Time. And again, I think I said this at the beginning, that what she does really well is blend jazz with pop, put her own like modern twist on it by rooting it in experiences that she's having. I think that's something that makes her really special and really unique, and it's probably why she's gotten the success that she has, because the music is so real and so relatable, and it's not something you hear in just full on jazz. So I love that she has that sort of inspiration in her music. I think that the only other artists who do something similar that I could think of would be Samara Joy, and Samara Joy is like full-on jazz in that regard. I think Ray does it a little bit, and I think Olivia Dean does it a little bit, and I would love to see her work with all those people. But the point is that I think that she does that really well, and this album is no different, I think. I loved how cinematic the arrangements were. I know that people typically take cinematic to mean big, but in some cases it was even some of the smaller songs. It's just that they were arranged so authentically, so well. You can tell that she's educated in music. You can tell that she understands music theory, because even if she's not the one who arranged it, the way she wrote to it as well was just incredibly intelligent. So she really is an artist who you can tell she's not being carried by the producers, by the writers, by any other element of this. She really is. She's the one doing the damn work on this, and she has the background for it. She's well suited for it. This album really cements the fact that she's meant to be here in the industry. She's going to be here for a long time, and she's going to do things well. She's going to produce quality music, and I think that's what she did here. So I really loved. I did really enjoy the album. It was a great listening experience. There's a lot of songs from this I'm going to take with me. Now, as an album, I do have some issues with it. And if you love this album and you don't want to hear that, feel free to skip. But I think there were a couple of things that I didn't love about this album. One of the things was track placement issues. I feel like there were songs here that would, like, for example, a song like Cautionary Tale I expected to be more of an intro. And I felt that Sabotage as an outro didn't make complete sense to me. because I didn't feel that it really wrapped up the album conceptually. It didn't provide like some sort of like, it didn't tie everything together. It felt like a loose end. You know what I mean? That's what that final track really felt like to me, both lyrically and sonically, because it was different than what she'd mentioned before. Nowhere before has she really touched on that kind of self-deprecation. Yes, I'm going to stick to that. I don't think she has touched on that kind of self-deprecation before that song in this album. You know, she's touched on insecurity and vulnerability and stuff like that, but never to the point of saying that I'm going to sabotage this relationship. So that conceptually is very ostracized from what she's talking about on this album. Furthermore, the sound as well, that sort of like jarring sonic device that she used, I thought was really cool, but again, it doesn't relate or tie up as much the rest of the album. So I really struggled with that last song being the closer, because it left the album, to me it left the album unresolved, I think, sonically and lyrically. I think that's what I'm going to say. Sonically, it ended in kind of a weird way where it was like, went back to that very like jittery, chaotic orchestral and then like thing, and then it just like ended, you know? So it didn't resolve in that regard. And then I felt like lyrically and conceptually, it also did not resolve the album. It left it open-ended and very like loose-ended, very frayed. So I didn't really love that. I felt like track placement might have been an issue there, but also I think conceptually that made the album just not as strong to me. I didn't find there to be a strong conceptual through line, especially one that like actually connected to the title. Having listened to this album, I don't know what A Matter of Time means to her. And I don't know what it means to the experiences that she's talking about on the rest of this album other than that one song. In that one song, to me, A Matter of Time just feels like a lyric. She's saying it's only a matter of time until I'm going to ruin this for us. And there, I'm like, okay, I guess I understand that lyric, and I would understand it if she decided to make that the title, I guess. But I do not understand it as the title of the album as a whole, because I don't think, to me, that title does not speak or say anything about the album as a whole. So why it's the title, I don't understand. I think that's the biggest biggest issue with this album for me, is that I just don't think that there was a common thread. I don't think that there's a common thread lyrically, conceptually. Honestly, I mean, I think sonically, sure, you could argue, but it's sonically that sonic through line that's on this album. It's also something I've seen on every one of her other albums. I think it's a sonic through line for her artistry in general, not to this album specifically. What made this album more unique for me was I think it was more pop leaning than some of the stuff she's done previously. Like it had songs on this that were full pop or weren't as jazz leaning to me, you know? And that's what was different about this album. But other than that, I don't really hear what makes this album different. I don't see the growth. I don't hear like what makes this album special aspect of this. And then I'd also felt, the only other thing I would mention is that I felt that her songwriting was a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes it was too modern, if that makes sense. It almost felt like the song I'm talking about here is Tough Luck. Tough Luck, to me, that song felt like it was just chock full of like Instagram captions or like TikTok-friendly lyrics of like, I want this lyric to blow up, so I'm putting it in that way. I doubt that was her actual thinking when she did it. I doubt that was her intention. But that is very much what it felt like. It felt like... that song to me felt chronically online. It just wasn't believable. I didn't believe the energy that she was putting out on that song, or that she was trying to put out. I think that's something I struggled with. So I think that sums up the negative parts of what I found this album to be, where I felt like it didn't have a conceptual or sonic through line for the most part. I don't understand how any of that relates to the title. I felt like the title didn't really do anything for me at all. It doesn't say anything about the experiences or the concepts that she's talking about here. And I think Tough Luck was especially like a weak point for me on this album, because I felt like it was such a clear departure from the jazz-inspired, cinematic, orchestral songs we're hearing, and lyrically it was a step down. Like, the lyricism was definitely a step down for me. But there's definitely songs on here that I really, really enjoyed, that I'm going to take with me. I just don't think that this is the best album that I've heard this year. You know what I mean? I think as a project, there's something missing. And do understand that these issues that I have with an album could be an incompetency within me. For the songs that I didn't fully understand, that were complex in that regard, or things that I didn't like or understand, it absolutely just could be that it's just that I'm not meshing with it. You know what I mean? That doesn't make it a good or bad album. That's just, I think that those are just my thoughts about the album. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this listen. I hope you were okay with my honesty. Do let me know if there's anything that I missed here, because I do recall that there were some songs that I didn't necessarily know exactly what perspective they were touching on. So I would really, really appreciate it if you could enlighten me in the comments. Let me know if there's other albums you'd like me to check out. I do plan to check out her previous albums, especially Everything I Know About Love, since that's the album that really put me on. I think the first song I ever heard by Laufey was Fragile, off of Everything I Know About Love, and I've loved her ever since. So I'm definitely going to check those out, but if there's performances of hers you think I should check out, other artists you think I'd like, definitely comment down below. If you enjoyed this reaction, please do like. If you like it, what ends up happening is that YouTube shares it with other people to like as well, and it allows me to grow my community. So I would have really appreciated it if you liked this, if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more, but other than that, happy holidays! I was aiming for this to be a Christmassy video. Again, I mentioned that I was going to react to something completely different, but that's okay. Happy holidays, happy New Year as it's coming, and I really hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Bye.